Hello everyone, welcome back to Owen's Treats. And today, since it is February and upcoming Valentine's Day, it's also upcoming Mardi Gras. So I thought for this amazing episode that we would make baked beignets. Since I always wanted to try to stay on the healthier sides of things, and also because they don't have a deep fryer yet, I thought we'd try something baked, and this is a little bit of a laborious process, but it'll be fun and it's not that many ingredients. What we'll start with is that we have 3/4 cup of lukewarm water, we have 1/4 cup of super refined sugar, and then we have 1.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast. And then we have 1 egg beaten, 1/2 cup of buttermilk, 3 tablespoons of butter, which is melted. Then we have 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I'm using lemon extract because it gives a little bit more flavor. And then we have 3 3/4 cup of flour. I'm doing all-purpose. 1 tablespoon of butter melted, but that's for brushing, so we'll do it later on. And then we have 1/4 cup of powdered sugar for dusting to get that classic beignet. And we also have our KitchenAid mixer with our dough hook attachment. We have a rolling pin for later, and we have an extra bowl for our dough when we need to put it, or when we need to let it rise. So let's get started with our first steps. So our first step is really easy. 3/4 cup of lukewarm water. I'm going to add it to our big bowl. And then we have our 1/4 cup of fine sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoon of active dry yeast. And we know that our mixture will be done if it can cover the surface of our water and sugar mixture, I should say. We're going to lightly mix them together until the sugar has slightly dissolved, and you don't want to be too rough with it or else you could break up the yeast particles. And then what we do is that we let this rest for 10 minutes. So after around 10 minutes, our yeast should look ballooned, which means it's a little foamy on top and it looks active, which means you can see bubbles coming out and that kind of thing. So what we're next going to do is we're going to add more stuff to the mixing bowl. So we're going to add our beaten egg, and then we're going to add our butter. And then we're going to add our 3 teaspoons of butter. And then we're going to add a little bit of salt. And then we're going to add our vanilla. And then we have our dough hook on. And we're going to put it down. And then we're going to turn it on a very low speed. And then we're going to slowly add in our flour a little bit at a time. And then we're going to let this go for about 5 minutes until the dough has pulled away from, or until the flour/dough is pulling away from the bowl and not sticking. So now that our dough has vaguely come together, we're going to take it off, and it should come out like this. And it might be a little sticky, or a lot sticky. So, to prepare for this, more flour. We're going to take our dough out. I'm just going to put some more flour on there so it becomes more easy to pull off. And your dough should come out smooth and soft, like this. And then basically all we're doing is shaping the dough so we can put it into our other bowl so we can let it rise. So basically for that, we're just trying our best to get any scraggly bits that we have off on our hands or in from the bowl. And if you've never kneaded before, we're basically pushing with one hand, and then with the other hand we're folding it back on top of itself and then pushing again. So basically, we're just shaping this into a big ball. So we're taking the underside and we're just pushing it inwards so it meets the bottom of it. And then we shape it by taking our hands and going into opposite motion. So it curves the underside like that until we get a nice perfect ball. You don't want a lot of olive oil, just a little bit. So what I like to do is I measure with the cap. So I do about 3 capfuls when I'm using olive oil. So basically we're just spreading around the bowl, and then we're using our hands to get all the way nice and around. And then we are placing our dough baby into our bowl. So we're gonna let this rise for about 15 minutes. So now that our dough has finished rising, we have it here. And it should be double its size, or at least more than half its size. So once our dough has been rising, we're going to take it onto a clean, lightly floured surface. And then we're going to knead for a couple minutes, because this gets all the excess air out. So once we got our dough to a nice, goofy, not so puffy consistency, we're going to take it, we're going to put it onto our surface, and we're going to rub a little flour on top of it, and we're going to start pressing down a little bit with our hands, just so that we have a nice little area. And then we're going to start rolling. Now we want these fairly thin. We want them at a 1/4 inch thick. We want to go all the way to our corner so we can get any air bubbles out. So you don't want to leave air pockets at the corners. And so now that we have our dough laid out, and we have it about 1/4 inch thick, we're going to take our pizza cutter that I mentioned before. And basically all I'm doing is cleaning up these edges, because we'll probably have to re-roll a couple times. And then we're going to roughly guess how much we want, or how big we want our rectangles to be. So I'm going to make little division lines, and try my best to get even squares. These will make quite a few, so be prepared. And then we're going to go down. And mine are not perfect, so don't worry. You can use a ruler if you really want to be perfect. And so now we have our lovely little beignet squares. We're going to take our sheet, and then we're going to line our sheets with our little beignet squares. And so basically what you can do is that you brush a little bit of milk on top of these, regular milk, not buttermilk, and then you plop them in the oven 10 to 12 minutes. After we bake our sheets individually, we do not want multiple sheets in the oven, because that could ruin the temperature and could ruin how they rise. So we want one sheet at a time, 10 to 12 minutes per sheet. And then we're going to keep these in the oven and then pop them out and then dust them. So I'm going to keep doing rows of these until we have all our beignets done, or at least our first tray done. And then we will do our final step, which is dusting and getting them nice and perfect. And here they are, our finished beignets. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this another episode of Owen's Treats. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!